I'm 39. I live in Minneapolis. I work as a general practitioner. Not a neurosurgeon, not a psychiatrist, but I know enough to recognize the first signs that something is wrong. My mother, Margaret, is 72. She lived alone in the house where my sister and I grew up. She's always been strong. She raised us alone after our father left when we were little. She cooked, she worked, she never complained. Even now, she makes dinner for the neighbors, goes to the library, she knits sweaters for the winter. But a year ago, I noticed a change. She started forgetting whether she turned off the stove. She lost her keys a few times. One time she called me at 3 a.m. crying. I don't know where I am. The house looks different. I arrived. She was home. She just forgot she was back. I invited her in for a checkup. I didn't tell her why. Just, Mom, you need to check your blood pressure and sugar. The hospital does free screening. The results were clear. Early stage dementia, possibly Alzheimer's. The doctor said that at this stage, you can slow down the progression with medication, routines, support. But the main thing is that the patient needs to know, to be a conscious participant in the process. I didn't tell her, not because I didn't trust her, but because I knew how afraid she was of losing control. When she found out her father had left us, she didn't leave the house for 2 months. When she lost her job at 50, she had panic attacks every night. She's not just afraid of the disease. She's afraid of who she'll become. And I didn't want her to live in anticipation of the end. I started managing everything for her. I checked that she had taken her medication. I made copies of her keys. I set alarms for the stove and gas. I ordered food so she wouldn't forget to eat. I hired a neighbor to come over twice a week to just talk. She thought I was just worried, that it was normal for a doctor's son. And then my sister came over. Her name is Kate. She's 36. She lives in Portland, works in education. We've always been close, but she hasn't seen my mom much. She comes over once a year. This time she came over for Thanksgiving. I was home, helping with dinner. My mom was making her favorite apple pie, but she put it in the oven twice. And she forgot that she had already added sugar. Mom, Kate said, you've already added sugar. No, she said. I haven't started yet. But it's already sweet, Kate said, tasting the dough. My mom looked at me in shock. Did I do something wrong? No, I said. Just a little over the top. It's fine. After dinner, Kate came out onto the porch with me. What's going on? She asked. She didn't recognize me this morning. She said, you look like my daughter. She's tired, I said. It happens with age. Don't lie to me, she said. I can see it. Something's wrong. I was silent. She's sick, isn't she? I nodded. Dementia? Yes. Early stages. And you didn't tell her anything? No. Why? Because she's scared. Because she'll break down. But she has a right to know. Kate said. She has a right to be involved in her own treatment. She has a right to say how she wants to live these years. I'm trying to protect her. You're not protecting her. You're taking away the last thing she has, control. We had an argument. Loudly. Mom heard. I saw her looking out the window, scared. And in that moment I realized I wasn't just hiding an illness. I had created a new reality. But was it love? Was it power? And now my sister says I can't take back what I destroyed. After the fight, we didn't talk to Kate for 2 days. She stayed in the guest room, went to the park with her mother, cooked with her, talked about childhood. But I saw. She was watching. She recorded every moment when my mother forgot a word, mixed up dates, repeated the same story 3 times. And every time she looked at me, not angrily, but with pain and with determination. On the 3rd day, she found my medical file. Not on purpose. She was looking for a pen on the desk in the office. There I kept copies of tests, hospital records, medication schedules. Everything was marked for internal use, not for the patient. She brought the folder into the kitchen, put it in front of me. You treat her like a patient, not like a mother, she said. You plan her every step. You control her every meal. But you don't let her live. I'm trying to keep her, I said. But she's not who she used to be. And she has a right to know that. Not to suffer, but to decide how she wants to spend these years. Does she want to travel? Does she want to write her stories? Does she want to say goodbye to the people she loves? She's not ready, I said. And who decides when she's ready? You? Yes. Yes, I said. Because I know what's going to happen. She'll be afraid of the dark. She won't be able to sleep. She'll cry every night, like she did when her father left. And I don't want her to spend her last years in fear. But that's her fear, Kate said. It's not yours. And you have no right to take away her right to the truth. We didn't agree. But the next morning, she said to her mother, Mom, have you ever noticed that something's wrong? That you're forgetting things? Mom fell silent. She looked at me. Sometimes, she said. But Alex says it's because of age. That it happens to everyone. But is it hard for you? Kate asked. Yes, Mom said quietly. Sometimes I don't remember what I said. Or where I put my glasses. And I'm scared. Do you want to know why it happens? Yes. But Alex says it's best not to think about it. I stood in the doorway. I couldn't move. Alex, Kate said. Are you going to tell her yourself? Should I tell her? Everything fell apart. Mom looked at me. Are you hiding something? I walked over. I sat down next to her. Yes, I said. I was hiding something. What? You're sick. It's not hard. But there are early signs of dementia. The doctors say it can be slowed down. But you need to know so we can control it together. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat there. She stared at the floor. Is it because I forgot my neighbor's name? Yes. Is it because I put the pie in the oven twice? Yes. And you knew? Yes. And you didn't say anything? No. I didn't want you to be scared. She looked up. But I'm already scared, Alex. I'm not scared because I'm sick. I'm scared because my son lied to me. I couldn't answer. The words stuck. Did you think I couldn't take it? She asked. That I break? Yes, I said. I've seen you suffer over the little things. And I couldn't imagine how you'd get through this. But it's not your choice, she said. It's my life. And you took away my right to decide how to live it. Kate was silent. But I could see she wasn't winning. She was simply siding with her mother. Mom went to her room. She said nothing more. And I sat in the kitchen, holding a cup of coffee that had long since cooled. And for the first time I wondered, was it love? Was it power disguised as care? She didn't leave her room all day. I knocked in the evening. Nothing. I put a plate of food under the door. She didn't open it. But she took the plate away in the morning. The next day, she came out at 8. Dressed. Her hair combed. Her eyes tired but clear. I want my medical records, she said. Mom. Not Mom. I want all the tests, the doctor's reports, the medication schedules. The stuff you kept in your office. I can explain everything. I don't want explanations. I want documents. I have a right to know what's wrong with me. I brought the folder. She sat down at the table and read it all, slowly, carefully. Sometimes she stopped, reread it. Kate sat next to her, silent. When she was done, she looked up. You made decisions for me, not just about the diagnosis, about medication, about who can see me, even about food. I didn't want you to worry, but I have the right to worry. I have the right to choose, even if the choice is wrong. She opened her laptop. I'm already registered with a support group for people with early dementia. And on Monday, I have an appointment with a neuropsychologist. Not the one you chose. The one I chose. Mom, this is too sudden. No, she said. I didn't know anything for too long. Now I'm deciding how to live my life. She began to write down memories. Every day, an hour. First about her childhood. Then, about her father. About being left alone with 2 children. About working 14-hour days to pay for school. I want you to hear from me, she said. Before I forget. I was sitting next to her. I listened. And every time she said, Alex was so funny when he first tried to knit shoes, it hurt. Because I knew she wasn't saying that for nothing. She was keeping. One night she said, I don't want to live in the house for the rest of my life. I don't want you to see me change. I want to move into a dementia care facility. Not now. In a year. But I want to plan it myself. You don't have to rush, I said. But I have a right to rush, she said. This is my life. And I don't want my last years to be a script you wrote. Kate nodded. I'll help you find a place, she said. I didn't protest. Because I knew she wasn't giving up on us. She was regaining control. But the worst happened a week later. She opened a drawer in her room. She took out an old diary. She turned to me. Did you know I wrote about you every day when you had pneumonia when you were 8? No. I wrote about how scared I was of losing you. How I prayed. How I promised God I would give everything but you. She looked at me. And now you're doing the same thing. You lie to protect me. But you don't give me the choice to be strong. I couldn't speak. I'm not mad at you, Alex, she said. I understand why you did it. But you have to understand one thing. Love isn't about hiding the truth. Love is about letting someone be weak without taking away their right to choose. She went to her room. And I sat on the steps, holding her diary. And for the first time in years I cried not from pain, but from shame. Because I thought I was her protector. But I turned out to be the one who betrayed her the most. I thought the worst was over, that when Mom regained control, when she started talking about the future, when she wrote down her memories, we could slowly get back to something resembling a normal life. But then she said, "I've decided I don't want to live to the end." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" "I don't want to be somewhere where I don't know who I am. Where I don't know you, Kate, my grandchildren. I don't want my last phase to be one of fear and confusion. Mom, we don't know how this is going to go. Maybe you'll stay clear for a long time. But I don't want to take any chances," she said calmly. "I've seen what this disease does to people. I've seen my friends lose themselves. I don't want that." "What are you talking about?" "I applied for a medically assisted dying program in Washington State. Where I'm moving, it's legal. If things get too bad, I could decide to have assisted dying." I slumped into a chair. "You're kidding." "No, I'm serious. I've already consulted a doctor. They require that the patient be mentally competent at the time of the application. And I am. But it's forever. You can't come back." "I don't want to come back," she said. "I want to get out while I'm still me." Kate was standing in the doorway. She knew. She nodded. "She told me a week ago," she said, "and I agreed to help her." "You knew and didn't say anything?" "It's not your decision, Alex," she said. "It's her life, her body, her choice. But she's sick. She can't judge objectively." "She had a psychiatric evaluation," Kate said. "She was found competent, and she has a right." I couldn't accept it. Not because I didn't understand, but because I was afraid. I was afraid of losing her. I was afraid that if she left, I wouldn't be able to fix what I had broken. I talked to a doctor, a lawyer, a priest. They all said the same thing. If she was mentally healthy at the time of the decision, she had a right, and no one could stop her. A month later she moved, not to an apartment complex, but to a small apartment in Seattle, not far from Kate, where there was support, doctors, a program. She sold the house. She said she didn't want us to keep it as a souvenir. She wanted us to move on. We met every 2 weeks. She continued to record her memories. Now on video. Every time she said, "This is me. My name is Margaret. I'm 72. I have dementia, and I've decided how I want to die." I watched these videos, and every time I saw not the sick woman, but the mother. Strong, confident, choosing. And then she said, "When the time comes, I want you to be there." What? "I want you and Kate to be there. Not because you have to see it, but because I want to say goodbye. To say that I forgive. That I love. That I'm grateful." "I can't," I said. "I can't watch you." "But this isn't about me," she said. "This is about you. You've spent your whole life trying to protect me. Now let me protect you. Let me go the way I want to go. Without pain. Without fear. Without losing myself." I didn't answer. "I'm not asking you to agree," she said. "I'm asking you to be there. As a son. As someone who loves me." And in that moment, I realized the greatest sacrifice isn't death. It's surrendering control. It's letting another person decide for you. Even if that decision is about the end. And I don't know if I can do it. But I know she's right. 9 months passed. She didn't leave suddenly. She was preparing. Slowly. Carefully. Like someone preparing for a long journey. She continued to record videos. Every week, a new one. About childhood. About my father. About the first time I said Mom. About Kate, who won the first reading aloud competition. She wrote letters. To us. To her friends. Even to the neighbor who always brought her cake. And when the time came, she called herself. "Come," she said. "I'm ready." I arrived 6 hours later. Kate was already there. The apartment was bright. On the table, flowers, photos, her favorite music, Ella Fitzgerald. She was sitting in an armchair, dressed in a blue dress that I remember from childhood. Her hair was combed. Her eyes were clear. "I'm glad you're here," she said. The doctor was there. Everything was on file. The papers were signed. The psychiatric evaluation was done. She was competent, and she chose herself. We sat next to each other. She took my hand. "Alex," she said, "I know you thought you were doing the best thing. And you did. You've always been the son who wants to protect. But sometimes protecting isn't about hiding the truth. It's about letting someone be stronger than you think they are." I couldn't speak. "I forgive you," she said. "Not because it was right, but because I understand why you did it. And I love you for wanting to keep me, even when I'm not who I used to be." Then she turned to Kate. "You've always been my bridge to the world. Thank you for not letting me stay in the dark." Kate was crying. So was I. The doctor checked all the signatures. He explained the final steps. She nodded. "Ready," she said. We sat next to each other. She held our hands. The music was playing. Blue skies. 15 minutes later, she fell asleep. Not painfully. Not suddenly. Like someone who just decided to rest. The doctor checked her pulse. He looked at his watch. He said, "She's gone." I didn't let go of her hand for a long time. Not because I didn't believe it, but because I didn't want to accept that this was the end. But then I looked at her face. It was calm. Not scared. Not broken. Like a woman who had made a choice. And I realized she hadn't died of an illness. She had lived to the end. A week later, we opened the last envelope she had left. And there were 2 letters. One was for me. "Alex, I know you still think you could have saved me, but sometimes saving is not stopping death. It is letting a person go with dignity. I'm not angry with you. I am grateful. You were my son who tried, and that is enough. Don't blame yourself. Live. And remember, I will always be the one to tie your shoes, even if you know how to do it yourself a long time ago. With love, Mom." I read it 3 times, and then I opened the video she had recorded in advance. On the screen is her, smiling. If you're watching this, then I am no longer there. And that is good, because I chose how I want to die. And that is the most a person can have. She paused. And remember, I did not leave because I was afraid of life. I left because I loved it too much to watch it disappear. The screen dimmed, and in that moment I realized I hadn't saved her, but she had saved me. From fear, from guilt, from the obsession that love was control. And now, when I walk past her favorite park bench, I don't think about the fact that she's gone. I think about the fact that she chose to be where she was happy, and that she let me go.